welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the room. If you are joining me here live on YouTube, let me know who you are and where you are from. We're going to be having a conversation tonight about employee retention consulting. We're talking about employee retention consulting. I love doing these conversations with Elle. As some of you may know, and for those who are meeting me for the first time, my name is Elle Pearson. I am a healthcare consultant. I specialize in healthcare service recovery and organizational brand reputation. And I also help healthcare leaders launch their consulting businesses. And there are so many opportunities in consulting. So, me being able to come and have conversations with you about just various different specialties to explore. I'm so happy that I just set the time aside to again, come on and just share some resources with you. So again, if you're joining me for the first time tonight, introduce yourself in the chat. Let me know who you are, what's your role in healthcare, and tell me if you're already a consultant or maybe you're interested in consulting. And I am going to commit to coming on to schedule some of these conversations, more conversations where we are talking about specialties in healthcare that you may not be aware of. So one of the great things I love about consulting is, initially when I first got started, I did not know I could specialize in healthcare service recovery. So once you initially do your research, a lot of information is going to be mundane. So you find a lot of information about legal consulting, which is a great specialty. However, there are many, many, many different options. And so I wanted to, again, just have these conversations where we're talking about different opportunities where you can explore and utilize your background and experience. And for those of you who have my book, you already know that I break down various specialties, the problems in those specialties, and some of the solutions that you can offer. So this is just an extension of me, again, sharing resources. So if you're here tonight, just let me know who you are. We're live on YouTube. But I won't be here too long because I've had a long day. And then once I finished up my day and all my calls, I had to cook dinner and, jump into the mom role. So as I mentioned tonight, we're talking about employee retention consulting. And this is a hot topic. And it's a hot consulting specialty. And the reason why this is considered a hot consulting specialty is because you want to make sure if you are exploring consulting that you are moving forward in an area, if you are starting your business that is profitable. One thing I don't want you to do is waste your time starting a consulting firm and you have no market buy-in. So if you are considering going into consulting, you want to make sure, and I'm talking about corporate consulting. If you want to go into corporate consulting, you want to make sure that you are solving an expensive problem and that there is buy-in. One of the worst things you can find yourself in is you are solving a problem that's not on the priority list of leaders and you're having to find yourself chasing clients. No one wants to chase clients. So you want to make sure if you move forth and you start your consulting business that you are solving expensive problems. And there will be clients who are like, yes, we have that problem. We absolutely want to partner with your firm to help us solve this particular challenge, which is why I wanted to talk about employee retention consulting, because as I was going through my emails, I said, okay, I'm getting a lot of notifications about hospitals who have either closed down altogether or they have reduced services or closed down departments within the facility because there's no staff. I was like, what's really going on? So now we find ourselves in this post-pandemic phase where we're rebuilding healthcare, which the system was already broken before the pandemic, but now we're trying to piece together a broken system, and there's no way it can truly happen without staff. And that staff isn't just nurses. That staff looks like physicians. That staff looks like administrators. That staff is ancillary staff. So when we hear the term, the great resignation, like it's impacting healthcare as well. So I always want to share with you opportunities where they're profitable. I'm hearing a lot of buzz about the specific specialty. And if I myself have clients that need support and I'm also hearing more and more conversations, I want to share that information with you as well. So let's see. Hello, everyone. My name is Chrissy. Hey, Chrissy. So happy that you are here tonight. I appreciate you for joining me here. And again, for those of you who are live here on YouTube, please share your information. What's your role? Where are you from? And I would love to connect with you. And as I mentioned, tonight we're having a conversation about employee retention consulting. So I want to talk a little bit about this opportunity because the interesting thing is, as I mentioned, we have all of these hospitals who are either scaling back services, or they've closed down altogether, or they are at risk of closing down because of staffing shortages. So the opportunity is this, and I want you to think about this. Is employee retention consulting profitable? Absolutely. It's absolutely profitable if you are considering starting a firm. And thank you, Felicia. Felicia says, hey, Elle, excited to be here and talk about this topic. It's so important. But listen, here's the big opportunity, because I'm always going to force you to think beyond the healthcare box. Now, the interesting thing about if you were to move forward and build out a firm in employee retention, yes, we all know that healthcare right now is struggling, right? It's no secret. It's no surprise. As I mentioned, you have, let's see, I have a list of hospitals here in front of me. Beverly Hospital in Massachusetts. St. Mary's Health System is closing down in May. They're closing down their maternity and women's health services. Boston-based Tufts Children's Hospital, they closed their pediatric inpatient units. So it's no secret, right? The information is there. The data is there. Just like I got my hands on this information, you all here with me tonight can pull up that same information. But here's the opportunity I want you to lean into as a corporate consultant, as a corporate employee retention consultant. Employee retention is gold, and let me tell you why. You have opportunities in healthcare, but you also have opportunities outside of healthcare. So as I mentioned when I first introduced my firm, the Reputation Advisors focuses on healthcare service recovery. But at the end of the day, if there is another organization outside of healthcare that needs to be supported in regards to service recovery or organizational reputation management, guess what? I'm the consultant that can solve problems within healthcare and outside of healthcare. So you have certain specialties that are only going to be healthcare focused. However, with employee retention from a corporate standpoint, you have tech companies, you have manufacturing companies, you have so many different industries that are also struggling right now with losing employees because everyone is tired and they are burned out. So I always want you to know your options. What are your options and how you can build out a profitable firm, right? So you identify the problem. You know that it's an expensive problem because the consequences of an organization not solving the problem of being able to retain their staff, they can go out of business. That's the worst consequence of them all. So if you are interested in this specialty, I would give you the full thumbs up because now you are creating options for your firm. You can stay dedicated to healthcare, and then you can also help organizations who are struggling with the same issues, the same concerns outside of healthcare. So I just want you to know all of your options if you're considering employee retention, because we all see the data here. The data is healthcare organizations are closing down. They're closing down units, but you have a huge amount of outside organizations, outside industries to healthcare that are going through the same thing. So just know all of your options. Now, also, so we talked about options in healthcare and also outside of healthcare. But if you're really interested in moving forth, you really also have to take a deep dive into your own experience. Do you feel comfortable and competent? And do you consider yourself an expert, or are you willing to put in the work to become the expert to help organizations, whether in healthcare, whether not in healthcare, solve this employee retention crisis? It is a crisis. It being a crisis is another reason it's profitable, because I'm not going to have to spend a year in a sales cycle. As a matter of fact, if you know exactly how to have a conversation with a leader, it's not going to take you 6 months or even 3 months within a sales cycle to convert them into a paid client. You just got to know exactly what to say, right? So again, we talked about healthcare, non-healthcare. I really want you to think about your experience. And the reason why I want you to think about your experience, your expertise, is because for any of you who've attended my masterclass, for any of you who are my current students, you know the very first thing you have to identify and be aware of when you decide to start a consulting firm is you have to step into an expert role. You are a thought leader. You are an authority. So when you are a thought leader, you are authority that carries certain weight. Okay, so if you don't feel confident introducing solutions, if you have never introduced solutions before in employee retention, I want you to take a step back and really think about where you work and if they're having issues with employee retention. If your organization, wherever you work at right now, is having issues with employee retention, there's no reason why you should not be helping them solve this problem in some capacity. Because you know what? That experience on the job will help mold you into an expert. It'll help you gather some case studies on your belt. So when you go partner with all these community hospitals that are closing down, listen, the information is here. The data is here. I'm in service recovery and I'm pulling up employee retention information. So this is a part of market research, you all. And thanks everyone who's joining me here tonight. Again, as a thought leader, as an expert consultant, one of your responsibilities is to also be in the loop in your own industry. So if you are in the loop in your own industry and you say, Elle, I appreciate you going live. I want to move forth in employee retention. I know that I want to focus on healthcare or non-healthcare. Then I want you to be able to step into your expert role and to also do the market research and see. I just pulled up another article from Advisory. For you all who don't know, Advisory is also a consulting firm. They focus on healthcare and non-healthcare clientele. They recently interviewed some hospital CEOs within healthcare, and it looks like they surveyed 1,327 community hospitals, and majority of all of these CEOs were concerned that staffing is their top priority. It's their top priority because they're scared of going out of business. So I really want you to take a step back. If this is something that you want to move forth in regards to the specialty, again, I don't want you chasing contracts. I don't want you chasing money. The money should be chasing you. But before the money chases you, you have to build your authority. So it's a profitable space. I've already shared with you that organizations, number one, they're going out of business. Hospital CEOs are concerned. Staffing is their top priority. There's your validation. But for those of you who have yet to introduce solutions on the job and any initiatives on the job to get experience, I wanted to share a resource with you. So there's a resource that I discovered on the American Hospital Association's website. Again, this information is available for me like it's available for you. Hey, Kimberly, so happy that you're here. Hey, Believer7. Hey, Sandra, happy that you're here. So again, I'm going to be sharing some resources with you. I'm going to drop this in the chat because we've identified that it's profitable. You can have clientele within healthcare and outside of the healthcare industry because everybody's dealing with the great resignation. Okay. You're going to take a step back and look at your own experience. Do you feel competent introducing solutions? Have you done it before on the job? And again, now we move into market research. Market research is making sure that there's buy-in. Are there other firms out here who are solving problems in employee retention? And then once we've confirmed and validated, which I shared a little bit of validation with you right here on tonight's live, you want to think about what type of solutions you can offer. Listen, even when it comes to solutions to offer, yes, you can get on the job experience. However, here's something else. For regulated industries, typically there are guidelines that are available online. For employee retention, it's a little bit funny because oftentimes there's no specific guideline that has to be done. However, the American Hospital Association has a digital toolkit. Okay, so for those of you who are interested in employee retention and you're at a point to where you have some things that you yourself could potentially introduce and offer as solutions, I'm going to share with you from the American Hospital Association, Strengthening the Healthcare Workforce Digital Toolkit. Why is this important? Does anyone want to just share with me why this digital toolkit from the American Hospital Association is so important? I just want to anybody just throw out there why this digital toolkit is so important. Why is it so important? Here, let me grab the link so I can share it in the chat. Let me grab the link. Oh, and for those of you who are interested in employee retention and you really want to niche down and focus on burnout and have burnout be your topic of conversation, that's a really good way to really have conversations with executive leaders, or not even with just executive leaders. As you're building your thought leadership, really talking about burnout and the consequences of burnout. All of that will perk ears up for people to listen to you. Kimberly says it can have resources for you to introduce. Kimberly, yes, absolutely 100%. Once you have decided on a specialty, such as employee retention consulting, it's going to be extremely important for you to start doing your due diligence and doing research. And those associations which are accredited, those associations which are seen as a resource and have a lot of best practice information, that is useful information for you as the expert in this space, because you can use that information to build out your suite of solutions. So at the end of the day, will it be all that you use? Absolutely not, but it can get you started, okay? And the whole point of being here tonight is to get you to really start thinking about, is this a specialty that's profitable? It absolutely is. Is this a specialty that you feel confident and competent being able to be the authority in this space? It can if you decide to embark on that journey, but then you need to start gathering data. So I'm going to share, let me pull this, and that way you can look through this information and you can pull this guide. And the American Hospital Association, they have some amazing resources. I go there often to just be able to support my own consulting mentees and students. Oftentimes you may not know exactly where to get started, but the key to really doing your due diligence with market research is to look for gaps in the market. What are other consulting firms offering? It doesn't have to be healthcare specific, because remember, employee retention covers healthcare and it covers non-healthcare organizations. But you really want to look through case studies. You want to look through white papers. And again, what associations have best practice guides, toolkits, and just resources for hospitals. You know, you think it'd be so easy for a hospital to also go onto the American Hospital Association website and pull this information. But as we all know, many of us here are leaders, right? We've been leaders, we've been administrators. So one thing we all know is when you are busy putting out fires all day, sometimes you need to hire an expert to come in to solve a specific problem. So this is why there's so many resources, and oftentimes the resources aren't used as they should be because leaders are tired, they're exhausted, and they're already in their day-to-day roles with lots and loads of things they have to troubleshoot on their plate. So I want you all to utilize that resource. I just dropped it into the YouTube chat for you to be able to see. So I would love to answer some questions tonight. And for those of you who have never attended the masterclass, but you're interested in consulting, I normally do a masterclass once every month. It's called Healthcare Leader to Healthcare Consultant. And I talk about how you start your firm. But with Conversations with Elle, I just wanted to start having specific conversations about certain niches within healthcare that are profitable and that you should explore if you are interested in the specialty. So I want to take a few questions, but I also want to share something else with you that I found. I was like, oh my gosh, this is just a gold mine. It's not my specialty, but it is a gold mine. Okay, good point, Kimberly. Let's see. It identifies the main subcategories that you can address in your conversations with leaders. Always, Sandra. So happy that you're here tonight too. Angela, hey Angela, thanks for joining tonight. Assisting facilities to put specific incentives and morale in place to support staff. Listen, right now, healthcare is in desperate need. And really, yes, you can focus on larger healthcare organizations, but I really challenge you if you're starting your business or expanding your business, I want you to think about organizations that do not have a lot of resources or they don't have a very strong leadership team. So think about your nursing homes. Think about your long-term care facilities. Think about your community hospitals. I just pulled up an article right now about community hospitals and staffing being their top concern because they're also scared of closures. So think about those organizations, do your due diligence, do your research, and serve those who don't have a lot of resources. You can be that resource. And here's something else I want you all to think about before I go. And as I mentioned, I'm going to share some I'm going to answer some questions, but I want to share this research as well. So when you're doing your market research and you're looking at other consulting firms to see what demographic they serve, some of the solutions that they offer, you're looking for gaps, right? We want to look for gaps. Not one consulting firm can solve all the problems in healthcare. Not one consulting firm can serve every type of organization in the nation or even internationally. So there's abundance and there's room for all of us. There's lots of problems. There's very few of us as healthcare consultants who've actually worked in healthcare settings. So I came across this article also. Now listen to this. Organizations are closing they're closing left and right? I already talked about that. But there's another hidden opportunity within this specific niche. Once you've identified these organizations that are closing down, I came across this article from Huron, Huron. Huron is another consulting firm. They focus on healthcare and non-healthcare challenges. So they actually have an article about the process of closing down a hospital or specific unit. Now, I wouldn't have guessed that there would be an advisory team that was needed or external consultants that were needed to even assist with that process. But apparently that's something as well. So I'm going to drop this resource. Listen, I have resources galore. I'm going to drop that resource as well in the chat because that's also a hidden opportunity. So as I mentioned, there's a list of organizations who are either have closed down the facility or they've closed down specific units. You better believe if they've already closed down specific units and they have not retained staff, they're going to continue to close down additional units. So this article here may come in handy for anyone who wants to specifically help those who are thinking about closing down units and what that looks like. So anyhow, I just wanted to share that with you all tonight. 100% support anyone that goes into employee retention consulting, simply because when you think about the corporate space, yes, you can focus on healthcare, but there's also a huge opportunity to expand your solutions and focus outside of healthcare as well. You want to have as many options as possible to hit your income goals. And as I mentioned, also, the proof is in the pudding. The information I have access to is the same information that you have access to. If you, before you go into consulting, you should always validate that there is a market, and the market right now shows that we are in crisis. So what questions do you have about employee retention consulting specifically? Any questions? Any questions in the chat? I'm so happy you joined, Kimberly. Currently niche the LTC industry and retention of leadership. Okay, okay. Yeah, a long-term care, Kimberly, is, I mean, they'll always need support. And when you think about leadership, they'll always need support. But as you mentioned, Kimberly, we often think about nurses leaving, but you have administrators who are burned out. Your physicians are burned out. So even supporting burned out administrators, that's its own niche in itself. So I like employee retention because under that umbrella, you have burnout and other subspecialties that you can serve and talk about and become the expert. So I hope everyone here is revved up and ready to support organizations be able to retain their leaders, retain their staff, whether it's in healthcare or outside of healthcare. As I mentioned, challenges in this particular segment of healthcare, outside of healthcare, it's just extremely abundant and the opportunity is strong. So I support any of you who want to move forth in this specialty. Okay. Well, I hope to see you at the next masterclass. For those of you who've never come before, there is the link to join me. I hope to see you there. Reserve your seat. And I also have a Q&A at the very end where I answer any questions. My goal is to introduce you to opportunities and to help you get started. I want to do business with you. So when you start your firm, you build your authority, you built out your consulting suite of solutions, you have everything in place, and you feel competent, and I myself feel competent in the solutions and the value that you can bring to the table, I 100% will refer you business, and hopefully vice versa. I hope everyone here has a great night. Reach out to me if you have any questions, and I look forward to seeing you at our next Healthcare Leader to Healthcare Consultant Masterclass. Have a good night, everyone. Take care and enjoy those resources.